TikTok things this morning. We get bombarded with this stupidity and ignorance all the damn time. Now, this woman, she's trying to do her own reality show, I guess. What happened is, she got herself a husband. She married him just long enough that she could take half of what he had, and he was filthy fucking rich. These are called gold diggers. This is why rich men, unless they have political ambitions, tend to stay single. No, I'm not going to bite. I'm not going to give up half of everything that I busted my ass for a gold digger. Somebody who doesn't think that they should have to earn it themselves. Somebody who thinks it should just be handed to them. So this woman, right, she's got this property that's just for women. Just for women. No men, because she hates men. All she wanted was to take this guy's money so that she could man bash. And meanwhile, she's talking about how she did it all herself. How she created this empire all by herself. No, you didn't. You pretended that you cared about a man until you could take all of his stuff. But you only got to take half of it. And then if she's starting this reality show thing that she's trying to do, it's the very first episode, and she's walking through the property, and she's talking about how it's women owned and women created and women operated, and I'm looking at it and I'm going, holy shit, there is not a single female there other than her. Those are all construction workers. Every single one of those construction workers was a male. Yes, she did it all herself. Yes, she manipulated. That doesn't mean she did it all herself. She wouldn't know how to fucking build that shit if her life depended on it. If her life depended on her actually doing it herself, as she claimed, the chances of her hurting or killing herself on accident are fucking up there. Now, it's one thing to test fate and another thing to be an idiot. If you put somebody in a piece of heavy equipment and they don't know what the fuck they're doing, and there's nobody to teach them or to train them, the chances of them breaking things are absolutely great. If they are trained, but they do it every single day for 20 hours a day, the chances of them eventually making a mistake is also up there. You're always running the chance of having something mechanically go wrong. The longer you use a machine, the more likely it is that that's going to happen. Over years of overexhausting yourself by working 16 to 20 hour days, you are sleep deprived. You're more likely to make a mistake. However, you should learn how to run that piece of heavy equipment just in case. But there's other pieces of heavy equipment that we need to look at, like firearms. I'm not saying that every single person should be forced to own a firearm, although that might be a good idea. What I'm saying is that whether you are against guns or not, teach your children to shoot. Teach them gun safety. You don't need an actual firearm to teach them that. Squirt guns will work. Pellet guns will work. Paintball guns will work. Teach them that it's not a toy. Now, there are practice guns that you can get that have all of the important stuff on it. One guy that I know, every time he handles a firearm, he goes through the checklist aloud. As he's handing you a firearm, he'll speak what it is that you're supposed to be doing, proper gun safety, and he says it aloud every single time without fail. And this makes sure and guarantees that he basically OCDs himself into proper gun safety. Even if you're not into guns and you don't own any guns, the chances of your children encountering a gun in their lifetime are great. The chances of someone putting a gun in their hands is pretty decent. The chances of criminals giving up their guns doesn't exist. Criminals don't follow the law. And the more laws that we make to make it illegal for the average citizen to have a firearm to protect themselves, the more shootings we have, because the more an armed shooter or a person who's thinking about becoming an armed shooter is telling himself, you know, there's not likely to be any guns there. You know, if you walk into a school, there's not likely to be any guns there. You know, if you walk into a police station, you're probably going to get shot real quick. That's why I'm surprised there aren't more bombers here in the United States. Like Dylan Klebold and Eric Harris, they thought it out, they just didn't think it through. The propane tanks didn't explode like they wanted them to. But they also went after the wrong people. Like with many of these shooters, he had a specific set of targets he was going to go in and take care of. Or they did. The problem is when you're walking up to the door with some big-ass guns, people notice that immediately. The people that you want to specifically target aren't going to magically appear in front of you. People see what you're doing, and then you freak out. And then you go door to door. But you always pick them schools because you want your vengeance, you want your retaliation, and you want a high body count, don't you? You want to call it mental illness. No, it's actually target of opportunity. It's the same thing the police do with the homeless. Targets of opportunity. Easy to dispatch victims. Serial killers and police officers are the same. Except that serial killers don't work together. They're too paranoid. Whereas police officers have the benefit of other crooked police officers that'll help them cover up their crimes, help them to destroy evidence, help them to intimidate witnesses. If it's illegal for me, it's illegal for them. If it's illegal for me to do it back, it's illegal for them to do it to begin with. If it's illegal for me to even threaten to do something, then it is for certainly illegal for people to commit those acts. On the bright side, I've been to jail at least, well, jail or a lockup facility at least 24 times since Natalie's death. Yes, it works now. Woohoo! At least 24 times since Natalie's death. How many times they have to drop the charges? Even stuff that I was guilty of doing, they had to drop the charges on. Because although I was guilty of doing such things, they weren't illegal. The only way for them to hem me up was to try to give me a public pretender who wouldn't do shit, socially isolate me from my friends and family and eyewitnesses, to create a scenario where they could make it their word versus mine, which is never okay. When I say I need help, What I mean is that I need it to be 100% guaranteed that it's not going to be my predator's word versus mine. If I'm being forced to go to law enforcement, who are my predators, then I need to be able to go with someone for my safety, like Jared Scudder did. Finally. He's the only person to do so. There's a lot of people that, well, I followed instructions. When something happened, I always got a hold of someone to let them know. I always got a hold of a friend or family member before going to mandated reporters. And I always had to go to mandated reporters alone because my friends and family didn't give a shit. They always wanted me to bring them things. Oh, Sean, we're out of food, we're out of cigarettes, we're out of this, we're out of that. Because I didn't record it, those people get to pretend like those things never happened. Now I record this shit, and people throw tantrums and pretend I'm some sort of a horrible monster because I recorded the fact that I fed them. The ones who give me empty promises in exchange for help, it's recorded. The ones that I help because it's the right thing to do, that's recorded too. I believe in doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do. And honesty is pretty important to me. Now I'm going to give them a day down there at TFCC. Let them mull it over the way they do with me. Is he going to come in? Is he going to turn this shit in? Well, here's the thing, is that I don't have a mandated reporter that will do their job as a mandated reporter. And I don't have a friend or family member who will do what it is that a friend or family member is supposed to do in this situation. When it comes down to it, well, you guys think the government's supposed to do it because you pay taxes. The government still requires a friend or family member to get involved before they're going to even pretend to give a shit about something called mentally ill. Now, it's obvious that I'm not schizophrenic or delusional when I try to explain shit to people. When they blow me off over and over and over again, and it's literally hundreds of people doing this, telling me it's not their job, trying to pawn me off on somebody else, blah, blah, fucking blah, holy hell. Well, I'm over here at Goodwill. I'll use their bathroom. I really should go down to Tillamook Family Counseling Center today. But I need to try to coordinate and see if somebody can go in with me. I know one person I can ask, and I already know it's a bad idea. I already know about his health issues and his family issues. I already know that he ain't rich. But something's got to be done about this shit. I don't have a place to go. You want to blame me and say that it's my fault because I was forced to do. Because, well, just like here, these mandated reporters refusing to do their jobs has resulted in a lot of harm against me. But you notice they find a way to get paid, don't they? They are mandated reporters by their own admission. And by their actions, they're not doing the jobs that they are appointed to do. Like I said, the term mentally ill, as the evidence shows, there in the state of Oregon, somebody who is called mentally ill is somebody who a mandated reporter has to do their job for. Every mandated reporter. From the local sheriff to the receptionist at your local clinic. The thing about mandated reporters here in the United States is that although they are mandated reporters, they all pretend as if it's optional. They all pretend like if they don't look, they didn't do anything wrong. No, at that point they're committing felonies. They're knowingly, willingly, and intentionally harming innocent people. Law enforcement here in Tillamook, you get to hear a lot of people talking about how crooked it is and how crooked the system is here. It's everywhere. Everywhere I go, the laws are being ignored. Law enforcement is not held accountable. And the general public eats it up for entertainment. Through all this, I'm the only person whose actions have fit their words. Unfortunately, I have communication issues, and that's why the evidence needs to be looked at. So these predators can't capitalize on my disabilities anymore. But you have to have a friend or family member who cares. And do they? No. One of the great things is that, well, let's take the example of schizophrenia. If police officers are telling doctors that you're schizophrenic, it still takes that doctor 6 months to make the diagnosis. And any doctor who does otherwise is knowingly, willingly, and intelligently committing a felony 100% of the time. Misdiagnosis is malpractice. But more than just malpractice, these people have the ability to destroy people's lives. If it takes you 6 months to diagnose something and you do it in 1 day because an officer asked you, you as a doctor have committed a felony. If a nurse writes that down without a doctor telling her to, then she has committed a felony. Oh, that's frozen. The problem with law enforcement as predators is that they have access to all of your resources, your money. They have access to have people do what they want because of word of mouth. No evidence necessary. And depending on how much American society cares about you, you're probably not going to get heard. That was going to drive me nuts. Pardon me. Thank you, sir. All right, let's see what color it is. Ooh, blue. Here in the United States, judges And cops don't think that they need to follow the law when it comes to poor people. And the more poor you are, the more they think it's okay to commit felonies. Now, Tillamook Family Counseling Center committed multiple felonies. TCCHC committed multiple felonies. The local sheriff's department committed multiple felonies. And of course, the churches committed multiple felonies. See, when it comes to mandated reporting is only part of it. Yes, there's a charge for not reporting. But then there's anything that you do in addition that can additionally become a charge. When somebody comes to you as a mandated reporter, because you're supposed to be a mandated reporter, and you don't do your job, and then you want to schedule them for counseling a month away, no, you're supposed to call it in immediately. That's what a mandated reporter is required by law to do. Now, how many of these mandated reporters here in Tillamook have done their jobs? We've spoken to over 40 of them. Over 40 of these mandated reporters are recorded on my channel not doing their jobs. Rather than doing their jobs as mandated reporters, they want to talk over me and disrespect me and cover for their friends. A lot of these people, understandably, do not want to lose their jobs. But the fact is, the most important part of their jobs is mandated reporting. That is the most important part of their jobs. The fact that there are supposed to be legal repercussions for this, but there aren't. Because everywhere that I go, I have to go alone, and that allows them the knowledge, not just the belief, but the knowledge that I am alone, that nobody cares, and that they can do whatever they want. As soon as these agencies started setting me up for appointment after appointment after appointment, instead of doing their legally obligated job to report these crimes that I am taking to them, well, that made them felons because they are now fleecing the American public for your tax dollars. They're not doing the job, they're just taking the money. I haven't found anything in here that I absolutely have to have, so I'm gonna head out. As far as standing up to these crooks, somebody needs to do it. It's just unfortunate that once you're called mentally ill, you're not allowed. You have to have a friend or family member who cares. If you're a male, your family's probably just going to argue with you. Your friends are probably just going to argue with you. And depending on how good looking you are, you may not have very many friends to begin with. It's easy to throw a man away if you're a good looking woman, right? Even if all he is a friend. How many of y'all only have male friends so you can use and abuse them? So you can get free stuff out of them? So when you're in a tough spot, you can prey on American bias that tells us we're supposed to drop everything for our female compatriots. Fräulein comrades. Unfortunately, we've taught literally every woman in America that now she is not held accountable or responsible, and she can have men harm people whenever she wants because we're expected to. At no point in time did the police ever try to actually do their jobs through any of this. After repeated threats, harassment, and intimidation by police, I then have to try to turn these crimes in. I'll tap to retry. There we go. I have to try to turn crimes committed by the community in to police officers who have committed crimes against me, and this is felonious. for me to be forced to do this. It is also felonious to force me to do this through my disabilities, which includes disabilities that only exist because of abuse by law enforcement, by the volunteer family, by the media, and by the public. Go. When I on the internet for everyone to see, those very same people who told me to just let it go, just move on, flipped their fucking wigs. A lot of them, though, they'd already thrown tantrums because they wanted me to do what they wanted right when they wanted it. And they literally never tried what I actually needed or we agreed upon. They wanted to tell me pretty words and how to think and how to feel. They also wanted to break all their promises to come forward. Well, I don't give a fuck. You want to break your word, that's on you. I'll just post it publicly. No problem. Except it is a problem. Without a place to go through this and process it, I am perpetually victimized and taken advantage of. These people keep scheduling me for therapy instead of doing their jobs as mandated reporters, because without a friend or family member there, they can fleece all of us for our tax dollars for a job they're not performing. This is not okay. Fuck this goddamn country and everyone in it.